All right, this better be all right. And by that, I mean, I hope it's all right. All right, guys. Two more baits I want to show you real quick. And if it gets blurry, I'm super sorry about that. This right here is called the Savage Gear Ned Goby. And check this thing out. It is essentially Savage Gear's version of the TRD tubes from Z-Man, but with a Goby profile. So they've created these two fins on the sides, and then they've created a top fin where you can hide your hook. Whether you want to rig this thing with a mushroom style jig head on a traditional Ned rig, or you want to rig it weedless with like a 1/0 EWG, and then that way you don't really even have to expose it. But again, this is made from their Duratech material, super stretchy, super durable, and I like that a lot. So I only picked up one pack of the Ned Goby just because I wasn't sure if that was going to be something that I would be into or not. Looks like there's only one person in here right now. Give me 1 second, and I will be right back. I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Guys, I'm sorry about that. Ron is hammered. It's all good, Ron. I'm back, dude. I'm friggin' back. Alright, check this out. Savage Gear claims that this is 2 3/4 inches long, but this thing looks smaller than that to me. Now, this is a cool green pumpkin, purple copper color here. Great little Goby imitator. And like I was saying, this thing reminds me a lot of the TRD tubes from Z-Man. Not only because it's made from Duratech or Elastec, but because it's a hollow body, just like a tube would be, but it's got that same profile. Now, the only main differences are the two fins on the side and this top fin, which does split open. So, cool thing is you could rig this with a Ned rig hook and it'll kind of just hide right in there. Or you could tuck it into the fin and make it a little bit more snagless. Or you could throw this thing on like a 1/0 EWG style hook, and you wouldn't have to expose the hook, really. That fin will act like a weed guard to a certain extent. So, very cool deal there. And an interesting design from Savage Gear. So, decided to pick those up to just see what they were all about more than anything. And I might end up picking up more of these. So, that is the only color of that bait that I picked up. But again, that is the Savage Gear Ned Minnow. And there's one other here that I picked up, and I got 3 different colors. And this is the Savage Gear Ned Salamander. Check this thing out. I I picked up more traditional, you know, bed fishing colors. So I picked up this clear chartreuse, which I also picked up in the Ned Minnow that I showed you. But look at this thing, Ned Salamander. Wow. So it's got a very nimble body. This thing has a ton of ribbing on it. A cool head with like a little bit of like some hood wings on it, kind of like a salamander would. It's got these very realistic feet that have individual toes on them. And then it's got a tapered body that goes fat, skinny down to the tail. And it does have a hook slot on top. I think this thing is going to be absolutely killer on a drop shot, on a tiny Texas rig, on a Ned rig, on a variety of presentations. So I already knew, just based on the little bit of stuff that I could see online about this bait, that I was going to love it before I was able to get my hands on it. And again, these are scented too. It says they're salted, so I'll be very curious to see what kind of buoyancy these have. I would actually prefer that these salamanders are not super buoyant, but rather kind of neutrally buoyant. I also picked them up in this bright pink color. It's called Clear Pink. So Savage Gear is who makes these baits. All of these that I've been showing you, from the 4D craw to that Ned Minnow, to the Ned Goby, and now the Ned Salamander. Savage Gear makes all of these baits. And, you know, traditionally Savage Gear has been a company known to make very realistic looking baits. And they still do. But they've made a point to cater more to the U.S. market in recent years. I think they've sold a lot more of their stuff here in the U.S. than abroad. And I could be wrong about that, but they've done really well here domestically over the past few years. So they're just expanding on all that stuff and some of the trends going on here. So this is just a black and blue, which is going to imitate, you know, a salamander a little bit better. You know, a lot of salamanders are like that blackish, greenish color. So picked up one in this black blue flake and one in pink and one in chartreuse, because I do intend to fish these as bed fishing baits a lot. But because of how nimble they are with those segments and the tapered bodies, I will definitely fish them on a drop shot or even a Carolina rig, or like a finesse Carolina rig, you know, like a split shot rig type of deal. So very excited about those baits from Savage Gear. Like I said, I picked up the 6 packs of the Ned baits, 3 of the Salamander, 1 of the Goby, and 2 of the Minnows. And then I picked up 1 pack of the 4D craws, 1 pack of those Venom Super Dew creature bait, and then a bunch of hard baits too. So anyway, the one bait that might make its way into a giveaway coming up is this one that I thought I only picked up 1, but turns out 2 came in the pack. And that's the Lucky Craft Moonsalt 1.5 square bill crankbait. So anyway, hope you guys like the package. Leave some comments in the comment section over to the side, because I've got probably just a few more minutes, a little bit longer to hang out before I got to dip out of here and go relieve my wife, who is going to go to bed definitely in the next hour or so. But I wanted to hop on and just catch up with you guys, show you some of the stuff that I've recently picked up, and let you know that I'm pretty much done shopping for this year of bass fishing. I've got pretty much what I need, what's been on my wish list for the past year, and I know that I've got every situation covered and some moving forward. So there's really nothing left for me to get except for impulse purchases, things that I hear about, secrets and stuff. By the way, that reminds me, I did also pick up a couple of baits from the company Nico, Nikko. Do you guys know about them? Do you follow Travis Manson and the Smallmouth Crush? Do you watch his live streams or his podcasts? Because he recently had Nico baits on his live stream like a month ago, and some of that stuff was mind blowing to hear about, especially one bait that is a tadpole profile. They also make theirs of a very durable, stretchy material, very buoyant, but that tadpole is a tiny little profile, very thick, bulbous head, and a super thin tail to it that's like 2 inches long. And it is a wild bait. Yeah, we're going to see about that, Ron. I'm not saying for sure that I'm done shopping for the year because you never know. And I did just place my my order for the month of April from Discount Tackle, so it's not like you're not going to see me do any more unboxings. But I'm just saying there's not really anything else that is on my wish list that that I've heard about recently that I am feeling the urge to pick up. So that's more what I mean. So anyway, I am feeling pretty prepared for what is going to be thrown at me over the next 6 months or more of fishing here, which I'm pumped about. You know, we're here in the early part of pre-spawn. Water is still cold, high, and dirty, like I mentioned, from snowmelt more than rainfall over the past few weeks. And so I would think once the water starts to clear up a little bit and the fish move up as the water warms, that pre-spawn fishing will get very good over the next month, and then fish will move up to start spawning, mid-May. So I'll have probably about a month's worth of good pre-spawn fishing, and I intend to take advantage of red baits and moving baits, lipless crankbaits, swim baits, chatter baits, square bill crankbaits, things like that for the most part, just because that's what I prefer to fish. But then as soon as I start seeing fish on beds and it is time for the spawn, I'm ready to transition to slower moving baits, to stuff that I can catch them on beds. And of course, I am the type of person who promotes, catch and release when it comes to bed fishing. I do it for fun only. I don't do it in tournaments. I'm not trying to hurt a fishery by catching a bedding fish. And I'm not going to keep them out of water for too long. I'm not going to stress them out. If a fish on a bed is not catchable, I will leave them alone. If I think they are catchable, I'm going to catch them right away. I'm going to put them back right away. No harm, no foul. It's just fun for me, the fisherman, to do some sight fishing and to kind of play games with the fish. I mean, that's really the whole point, is that we're playing games as fishermen, right? We're trying to catch fish. And so it's a different type of game to catch bedding fish, and I like to experiment with that. So I'll throw Ned rigs, I'll throw realistic looking creature baits, lizards, craws, things like that. I'll throw swim baits. And it'll be fun to go through that entire phase over the next 2 months or so between the pre-spawn and the spawn. And either way, I feel prepared all through the summer. And once the spawn is over and topwater bite really picks up, I am pumped about that. We haven't talked much about topwater over the last couple of months because I like to keep the content a little bit more relevant to the time of year. That's at least how my Instagram profile works out, and what I post about there is kind of what's in season, what's appropriate, or what's brand new. So that said, some of the stuff that I picked up from Discount Tackle this month was topwater baits. So we'll talk about it here in the next week or two once that stuff comes in the mail and I have it to show you guys. But yeah, I think you're right, Ron. I think we both probably have all that we need. Um, it's not necessary to keep purchasing, but it's a hobby. It's an obsession. It's a collection sort of game. So it's not necessarily about just covering our needs and having what we need in order to catch the fish, but it's also about having what we want and what we like and what we think we could do well with. So yeah, it's about filling out the collection, feeling like if I wanted to just go out and fish with nothing but the Jackal TN70 or the Lucky Craft LV500, that I could do that for the entire day and just bottom bounce a lipless crankbait, knowing that no matter what the water conditions are, that I could catch them on bottom, hopping bottom, dragging a lipless crankbait that is made to do that. So that I've got a wide variety of colors and sounds in those two baits. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent now, but you're right, Ron. It's an addiction, dude, for sure. Russ says, what I need is someone to ship me a kayak. No one in California will ship to me. It sucks. So you're in California and no one's willing to ship to you, or what? Where do you live, Russ? If you don't live in California, why do you need someone to ship to you there? If you do, I'm sorry that no one will, because that's brutal and unfortunate. Okay, so you do live in California. I hear you. Well, sorry to hear that, man. And I hope, there was somebody in here a few weeks ago saying that they were able to find secondhand a kayak for purchase, like on Facebook. At least I think it was Facebook, not like eBay or elsewhere. But that might be one of your better options than to buy one brand new. Is to purchase from somebody who's upgrading or who bought something and rarely used it. So keep that in mind, and maybe you'll be able to get away with kind of picking one up or having somebody deliver one if you're buying from another person as opposed to a store. Yeah, well, that's a difficult scenario if you know exactly which model you want. And yeah, that's brutal. Hey, what I might do is actually like rent a U-Haul truck. You can get them for like $20 a day, dude. And if you're buying a kayak that's $1,000 plus or minus a little bit, I think it's probably worth it to spend $20 for the day. Pick up a U-Haul truck, drive it to the store, pick it up from the store, drop it off at your house, and go drop off the truck. That way you can get it and take it to your house. So just an idea. Honestly, I had to go through a similar situation recently, and that's one of the best ways to get something if it's within a reasonable distance. And $20, I mean, you'd be spending $20 or more to have it shipped from really anywhere. So keep that in mind. If you can make the drive within an hour or two, I would definitely do that. The Real Robber, what's up, dude? Chilling in Oregon? Hope you're doing well, man. I am here in Colorado. We've got a couple folks in California. Ron is about to move out to Rhode Island. So anyway, our audience is kind of from all over the place. Riley, who was in here earlier, she and William are from Louisiana. It's fun to be able to hang out with people who are all over the country in different phases of bass fishing throughout the year. Here we are in early April, and folks down south are already in the thick of the spawn. Folks out west are coming up on the spawn right around the corner. For me, pre-spawn fishing is just getting started. It won't be, bed fishing time for at least a month, even in tiny bodies of water where the water will warm up quickly. So Oh, the reef robber, not real robber. My bad. The reef robber. That's an even cooler name. Yeah, glad to know that you're not robbing people's reels, but rather robbing fish off of the reef, perhaps. The reef robber. That's cool. And I hope that's a reference to fish and not to reefer, if you will. But you never know. You say you do live in Oregon, so I wouldn't be surprised either way. And my mind is sometimes in the gutter in that regard, living here in Colorado. So, anyway, guys, throw some questions at me. Let's hang out for a few more minutes before I gotta hang out, or before I have to dip out of here and go relieve my wife so that she can go to bed and I can hang out with our newborn baby for the next few hours. Because my shift over the last month has really been that first shift of the night, hanging out with him from like 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. roughly. Sometimes it's a little bit later than that, while my wife gets a little bit of a head start on some sleep, and then I go to bed kind of 1 or 2 a.m. and can generally sleep the rest of the night then. So he'll wake up at like 1 and then 4 or 5 in the morning to feed, and that's kind of our schedule right now. So you do some ocean fishing. Okay, Reef Robber, right on. What's your first name, Reef Robber? And are you subscribed to the channel? Because I don't recognize your name. And if you're new to the streams here, welcome. And thanks for hanging out with us, man. I prefer to call people by their names. You know, Bassless Chap over here is Ron. And obviously Russ Dennis is Russ. But half of the people in here have, you know, tag names, and some people have their real names on here. So your name is Earl. Okay. Well, right on. Pleasure to meet you, Earl. My name is Tyler. You don't have to call me Hooksets or free. My name's Tyler. I live here in Colorado. I do a combination of fly fishing for trout and traditional bait casting and spinning for bass primarily, but also, you know, pan fishing and walleye. And I'm going to be targeting muskie and pike a little bit more. So we're all just kind of obsessed with fishing here, and have developed a little bit of a community here online on this small YouTube channel. You know, I've got just 2,600 subscribers or so. So I appreciate you hanging out and just being a part of the community. Thank you for being a subscriber, man. And guys, like I said, throw me some questions, comments, concerns, anything that you might want to see or know about what I've got behind me or in any of the boxes around me. Anything you want to talk about, let's do that for about another 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes before I got to leave, okay? And if not, then I'm probably just going to leave sooner than later. Yeah, no, that's a good question, Earl. I don't know if Russ or, see, no diggities in here. His name is Justin. I don't know if Russ or Justin or Ron really have videos up on their channels, or if they just kind of hang out in these live streams that I do, and, you know, some of the other channels that are out on YouTube that they like to follow as well. So, no problem, Justin. I'm sorry that my stream got all messed up and that you weren't able to see things clearly, and that I had to finish it and start a new stream, because that's annoying. And yeah, I apologize for that. So Russ says he doesn't make any videos. Russ says, what's your favorite hook size? Dude, that's an interesting question. It depends on what kind of fishing you're talking about, because if we're talking fly fishing, I would say like a size 16. If we're talking about an extra wide gap hook, I would say probably a 4/0, maybe a 3/0. If we're talking about a drop shot hook, it's probably a size 1, maybe a 1/0. If we're talking treble hooks, probably a size 4. But that is a very broad question. So when you say for bass, I don't know how to tell you because a lot of baits have treble hooks on them, and I use round bends when fish are slapping at baits. I use EWG style hooks, treble hooks when fish are engulfing the bait, and usually a size 4 covers a wide variety of situations for treble hook baits. A size 2 is what you're going to want to go to for something a little bit larger or where you can get away with it and you're not going to get constantly hung up by the hooks themselves, or get the hooks tangled up in themselves. A size 6 and an 8 get to be a little bit small and can affect your hookup ratio. If you're talking about a worm hook or an EWG style, a standard hook, then I think a 3/0 or a 4/0 is going to cover your bases from anything as small as 3-4 inches up to like 6 or 7 inches. And so, yeah, that's going to cover. Ron says he's got videos for every bass he's ever caught. Yet if you look at his name is Bassless Chap. So, yeah, he's never caught a bass and therefore doesn't have any videos. And that is hilarious. Justin says, I'll have videos or at least some fishing content out once the lake opens and saltwater opens. Right on. What do I use the most? Asked Russ. Dude, when it comes to terminal tackle, I've got a really wide variety. So I would say a 3/0 probably fits my situations the most, but I have a million different types of hooks, so I can't quite answer that. But I can use something as small as a 3/0, like I think this shaky head by Trocar here has a 3/0 hook on it, and I can use it on this 3-inch Ned bait, okay? And yet I could still use it on a 5-inch worm. So I could use a 3/0 hook on baits that are anywhere from 3 to 5 inches, and that would cover a wide spectrum of soft plastic baits that I'm using. However, it all depends on the situation. So if I'm using this this new bait that I picked up, the Savage Gear 4D Craw, which is a 4-inch bait, could I use a 3/0 EWG hook on here? Yes. Would I? Probably not. I'll show you, for example. Here in this worm, I've got a 4/0 EWG, and you'll see that this worm hook lines up just perfectly with this bait. Now, I could even go with a 5/0 in this thing because once I Texas rig it, it's going to come out somewhere right in the middle of the body. And usually I prefer to come out closer to the head. So I think this 4-inch bait could take a 5/0 hook pretty easily. But I do think a 4/0 hook is going to cover the widest variety of situations. A 3/0 hook can go smaller. You can fit a 3/0 into a small bait, but also into a larger bait without it really impeding hookup ratio too much. So it depends, but I like to have my bases covered and have, anything from a 1/0 hook, like right here, I've got this free rig here, the drop shot weight. This is a 1/0 EWG hook that I've got rigged in this tiny little 3-inch Berkeley Pit Boss. So I like to be able to, this might be a 2/0, but I honestly have everything from a 1/0 up to really a 6/0 for the most part. And then when we get into big baits, I've got that covered too. So, if we're talking swim baits, this is a 1 ounce 8/0 hook. in this jig head. This is a freaking weedless hook with, I think this is a 9/0. So as you can see, these are absolutely giant hooks that I'm not going to use all that frequently, but there are situations where I'm going to use a big bait. I'm going to throw something like this 7-inch Megabass Spark Shad swim bait, and I'm going to use that 9/0 weedless swim bait hook with an underspin on it. So it all depends, dude. But favorite hook, most used hook, yeah, I don't know, 4/0. You asked kind of a tricky question there, Russ. Any other questions, guys? What else do you want to talk about right now, aside from hooks? Because terminal tackle is a very a broad topic, something for us to talk about. And if you want to narrow in on terminal tackle, you know, whether it's brands or a style of hook, style of jig head, size of hook for a certain application, then by all means. Russ says, I would only use those hooks for the ocean. Yeah, no, and I get it. A lot of people would, right? For the most part, you're going to want to stick to something like this. You know, this is a Strike King Squadron jig head. I've got it here in a couple different sizes. So, this is a 5-inch swim bait. And on it, I've got a 1/2 ounce head with like a 4/0 hook. And then I want to say that this is like a 1/4 ounce with a 3/0 hook on this little tail spinner by a band of anglers. So, yeah, in terms of size of hook, again, 3/0, 4/0 fits the vast majority of situations. But, you know, of course, I'm throwing stuff like this somewhat frequently. You know, this is a 5.8-inch swim bait, and it's got a 5/0 hook on there. So this is a 3/8 ounce jig head with a 5/0 hook. Just fits the bait most appropriately. And then a lot of the jigs that I use and a lot of the, you know, frog hooks that I use tend to be like a 5/0. So, anyway, Brian Waterman in the house, dude. What's up? You are a bit late to the party. I've been hanging out for about the last hour, and I'm gonna dip out of here soon, just because I need to let my wife go to sleep soon, so I can hang out with my newborn son, who's coming up on a month old here in the next couple of days. But thank you for jumping in, for showing your support, and yeah, feel free to go back and rewatch this stream and the one that, you know, this is a 2-part stream because I started initially and then my internet connection got a little bit wonky. I had to end it and start back over. So anyway, I hope you're doing well, Brian. Hope you had a happy Easter and all is well on your end. So thanks for jumping in here, man. Russ says maybe that's why I only catch dinks. Probably not, dude. I think small fish versus big fish has everything to do with the body of water and where you're fishing. But sure, could it have a little bit to do with the presentation and the size of hooks that you're using? Maybe. I don't know. Thank you very much, Russ. Yeah, super fun to have a boy in the family. Just because, you know, I thought I was destined to be a girl dad, you know. Got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. Girls, and we decided to make this one a surprise and just not find out until the baby was born. And I was a bit surprised to see that ball sack on him and be the one to announce to my wife that it was a boy. And yeah, I don't know, the surprise was more fun than I thought it would be. And yeah, it's been a huge reward to not only have a new child in the family and to have our 3rd kid and feel like everything's filled out, but to have a boy and just look forward to, the experiences that will inevitably be a little bit different than those that I have with my girls. Um, because I assume, now I could be wrong, but I assume that he'll be into different things um, than my girls are, and it'll be a little bit less of you know, playing pretty princess and playing with dollies and doing hair and all of the things that we do as daddy daughter and all that stuff. So pretty cool to have a boy, and we'll see what it's like as he grows up. But yeah, he's 28 days old, 4 weeks yesterday. Thank you very much, Russ. Appreciate you. Ron says, I'd like to see you do a video on all the props, spinners, etc. That you can add. So let me just tell you, there are two spinner blades that I use that I attach to my lures. One existed before the other, and I still use it, but this one came out just a year or two ago, and I think is better in a few different ways, and has become my go-to. So this is the Z-Man TRD Spins, and what I really like about it is that it's got this dual plastic keeper on it. So it holds on to plastic baits very well, and it's got a premium swivel on there, and you can buy them in willow blades or Colorado blades, silver and gold. So there's 4 different combinations. They come in a 3-pack for like $5. Very good deal, and I add them to almost everything, dude. So good example would be like a Senko here. Like I would definitely cut off the tail of the Senko and just thread it right on. And in fact, I might even not cut the tail, because you could fit this in here. Let's see if I can do it without making the bait look too wonky right now. And so look at this. As I showed you, I've got this 5-inch Yum Dinger in the summer gill color, rigged on a 4-aught EWG hook, this one made by Trocar. And in the tail, I've got this Z-Man TRD Spins in the gold Colorado blade. So this thing's still going to fall super slow through the water column, but as you rip it up, that tail is going to put out some vibration and flash that just will get bites. So you can add these spinners to almost anything. And what's cool about that dual keeper compared to, say, the other one that I use that has a screw lock keeper on it, is that you can put this in Elastec baits. So if you wanted to throw it on like this Z-Man Baby Goats, where I've got this rigged unconventionally on a shaky head, right? I showed you guys this shaky head just, 15 minutes ago. This is a 3-aught Trocar Scorpion head. But if I wanted to, what I could do is just thread this right up in the middle of the body and try and avoid the plastic keepers of the hook itself. And let's see if I can do this. You guys used to give me such a hard time for trying to rig stuff on camera and look way too focused and breathe too heavily and all that stuff. So I'm not going to be able to do this properly for you on camera right now. But it'd be a lot easier to do this with a bait that's a little bit bigger, or with a swim bait or something of this the sort that would make more sense, but you can throw these spinner blades onto almost anything that you want. And honestly, it becomes either an underspin or a tail spinner, depending on what you apply it to. And I'm a huge fan of it. So, you know, a good example would be just taking like a swim bait like this. This is a 6 Sense Divine swim bait on a Divine jig head. It's got a screw lock keeper on it, and it's a match made in heaven. But what you can do is just throw that right up in the belly, and voila, you've got an underspin on your hands that is not going to impede the action of the tail. And it took almost no effort to install that. So very, very cool deal. Of course, I would throw, you know, a willow blade in silver on a bait of that color, but just wanted to show you, for example, the things that you can do. So yeah, definitely check them out. If you guys want to buy them on the cheap, hit me up and I'll send you a link from Discount Tackle where you can get them discounted, and also I'd get a little bit of credit for referring you there. If you want, I can leave a link in the description to this video when we're done, and you could click that link, or you could just send me an email. But either way, Discount Tackle is the place that you should do that. The TRD spins, okay? I highly recommend them. I've got them in literally every combination. The silver and gold Colorado, and the silver and gold Willow. So I don't know if I feel the need to show you guys and prove it, but I will. So here's the TRD spins in the Willows. That's the silver. That's the gold. And the Colorado. There's the gold. There's the silver. So, huge, huge fan. Just like I am of the Nico Shrooms weights made by Z-Man. Because they have that same dual plastic keeper, but a mushroom style head. It is perfect for Nico rigging. And then, you know, you just use a Nico or drop shot style hook in like a 1/0. But yeah, the screw lock one is called I don't know why it's evading me right now, Ron, and I apologize. I'll text you the name of it later, because I can find it on Tackle Warehouse, no problem. And I've got them in my terminal tackle box, which I could easily retrieve and show you. But it's the same concept, just with a slightly lower quality swivel, but it has a screw lock keeper instead of that dual plastic bait keeper. In my opinion, I think the ones made by Z-Man are a little bit better. I think the swivel is a much higher quality, and I think the blades are just as good, if not better. And I like that dual plastic keeper. It's going to hold your stuff better than a screw lock keeper does or would. So anyway, okay, actually I do remember. It's called Pro Point Lures Underspin Blade, if I'm not mistaken. But Pro Point Lures is the name of the company. You can look them up on Tackle Warehouse and find them pretty easily. So, you know, Brian, tough to tell at this point in the year. I haven't felt that optimistic about them for a while now. So, you know, we did make a couple off-season moves, and you know, I think we're definitely still in a rebuilding phase. So, tough to say that we're going to really do any damage this year. But I could be proven wrong as we get into the regular season and things heat up. It's tough to see some big names go by the wayside. You know, it's like Nolan Arenado was was our pride and joy for so long. So, anyway, yeah, the Padres have a stacked team. You don't need to feel bad about saying that. Why do you say you hate to say that, man? I hate to say that I probably need to dip out of here in the next couple of minutes, guys. And I am also sorry to say that it's been a while since I've been on here. I will try and be on here closer to once a week and also start posting more regular videos. Tell me what you guys want to see. Leave a comment in this video or in another one. I will see your comments. Feel free to send me an email, comment on a post of mine on Instagram, or send me an email. You can see my email address on my profile page if you just look at my the main page of Hooksets Are Free. You'll see my email address is hooksetsarefree18@gmail.com, and you can always contact me there. Let me know what you guys want to see, what you want to talk about in live streams, what you want to see in a regular video, whether it is knot tying videos, lure reviews, actual fishing videos, or whatever else. I just love some ideas in terms of what kind of content you guys like to watch and what you'd like to see from me. But I super appreciate you guys hanging out. Appreciate you being a part of the community. And yeah, you're right, Brian. Coors Field is a fun place to watch baseball games. And yeah, there are more home runs hit out of Coors Field than probably anywhere else. Speaking of, shout out to Coors Brewery, Coors Banquet Beer, brewed here in Colorado. And yeah, Coors Field is a cool stadium for sure. I usually go to a handful or upwards of like 10 games a year in typical years. But honestly, I don't know that I attended a single game last year. I had the opportunity to go to a couple, but just didn't quite feel comfortable with COVID. Could have gone to a couple of games early in the season that would have been really unique. But yeah, you got to pick your battles when it comes to family stuff. And if I were single, if I didn't have kids, it might be a different scenario. But honestly, had to give up those opportunities last year. So haven't been to a game in 2 years. And ordinarily, I do go to opening day. So it's been a little bit different. But yeah, appreciate you guys hanging out. I'll see you guys in the next one, which will hopefully be here in the next week or so. Like I said, my wife is not working. And so I just need to go out of my way to ask for an opportunity to get on. I need to let you guys know in advance when I'm going to be hopping on to do a live stream. And yeah, appreciate it, guys. Have a good rest of your night. I'll see you again soon. Take it easy.